Hi, very good evening, all of you. Hello.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you?
Fine,
Hello.
sir.
Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
See,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes.
so far there are 41 students have joined in this online program. So today, let us understand why we gathered for this online program. This program is called Eat Right Chennai. Can anyone tell me what is Eat Right? What do you understand by the term called Eat Right? Any one of you participants, please unmute yourself and share your view. Hello.
Sir, whether it is mean by we have to choose right food and eat.
Yes, exactly. Very good, very good. So today we are going to understand how we are going to, so far how we selected from this session onwards, how we are going to be very particular in choosing a right products for our day-to-day uses. Okay. So this is a government initiative program where a Savera Hotel as well as the Parikshan organization is joined together with the Food Safety Department of Tamil Nadu. So we are here to spread this awareness to the different segments of the society. So in this session, we are going to understand how we are going to choose the products, what are the label languages we should be aware of that. And there are many information session as well as the demonstrative session from Mr. Vivek. Mr. Vivek is our today's trainer and our guest speaker from Parikshan organization. Parikshan is a lab where the food tasting is happening and the food safety training will be conducted for all the food handlers in all over the India. So let us all welcome Mr. Vivek to start the session. Say hi to Mr. Vivek.
Hi students,
Hi,
good afternoon
sir.
students.
Hello, sir.
Hi, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good
So I
afternoon,
hope
sir.
everyone had a healthy lunch. So you're ready and you're in a fresh mind to listen the complete class.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Dennis. Thank you very much, Savera Group of Hotels, for giving us this opportunity again. This is a continuous session which we are conducting throughout the city, and many online and offline sessions we are conducting. And with the help of Savera Group of Hotels, we are able to reach to you. And this is really a great opportunity for both of us. So as Sir has already given an introduction about this Eat Right, I'll just give more detailed view on this. And I request students to ask any question if you have in between itself. You can interrupt me and you can ask. And whatever answers I'm asking, please talk to me. We'll keep this as an interactive section. More we interact together, more it will be a fun learning. The whole thing about this class is like it shouldn't be just me talking alone. It should be a fun learning. You all are a young students. You are the future, and whatever correction we have to make for our future, it should begin from you. So that is what we believe, our organization believe. So with that note, I'll start the session. So first thing about this Eat Right, before we go into detail, I'll ask few questions to you. It's just a basic, it's not any technical question. So whenever you go to any market, whenever you buy any food product, you buy many packed food product. So what are the things you check in a packed food product? Anyone can unmute and answer. When you buy any
Expiry date.
packed food, please tell me. Yeah. Yes, Arvind?
Expiry date.
Okay, expiry date, very good. Any other answer?
Manufactured date.
Manufacturing date, very good, very good. Anything else? Are these two things enough?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other specific thing apart from the manufacturing, MRP and expiry date? Do we check anything else?
Ingredients.
Honestly, no. We ingredients. Okay, very good. I am very happy to listen this answer. Ingredients, very good. Okay. I'll just give a brief about this packing, how this labeling in our food industry has changed. If you remember your childhood days when you used to go to any kind of retail store to buy, you used to always get those things in loose product. Like if you had to buy any rice or dal, you used to get it in a loose thing. So sometimes, like in my childhood days, they used to tie it in a paper with a knot and then they used to give me. And after some time, the things changed. They had some plastic cover ready and they used to fill it, they used to weigh it, and they used to seal and give it. Now, as you go in the market, when you see it, that kit is already packed and it is ready. After that, it changed. It was with the packet and manufacturing date and expiry date. As you said, it is perfectly right. But today, if you go to market, any product you purchased, there will be many details. Without those details, the products are not allowed to keep. So what are those things? What we have to check, that is what we are going to discuss. The first thing is that key, we need to see whether all the products have something called as FSSAI license number. I repeat, everyone needs to check FSSAI license number. I'll just show a demo label so that it will be very easy for you to understand exactly what I'm trying to say. So this is the type of any label which you get in the market. I'll just zoom in. So you see various information which is there. So if you see in this product, I think it is not that much clear. I'll just change this image. Okay, so this is a bit better. So if you see in this, there is something called as FSSAI license number, which is below the best before date. So any company in our country, whenever they are registered as a food business, they should get this license and this license number should be mandatorily displayed. As all of your students are from 12th now, say that today you want to go and ride any two-wheeler or four-wheeler. Can you ride it? What do you need mandatorily as per legal law? Anyone?
License.
License. Without license, no matter how good you ride, no matter how good vehicle you have, you can't ride it on the road because that is what is the nation's law. Similar to that, in our country, for doing any kind of food business, even if it is a roadside street food vendor, even if it is a big manufacturing, a small retail shop, a supermarket, an online delivery chain, or an online supermarket like a Big Basket or Reliance Mart, JioMart, anything. Even when you kids online order Swiggy, if you go to any restaurant, there will be this FSSAI license number mentioned. Because the country is very strict on this law, anywhere you go, this FSSAI license, they have to mandatorily take it and the license should be displayed everywhere. Even if you go to a restaurant, it will be displayed. Whenever you take a packet like this, it should be displayed. That is what is the first rule. So this thing, you have to check it. The reason why I'm emphasizing on this is that say that tomorrow when you buy any small product, any local product, you buy it, and you don't see this FSSAI license number, but since it is cheap, it is less in cost, or it is not available, only that is available, you buy it. If there is any complaint in that product, say that that is adulterated, you don't have any source to complain. Because if you buy anything without this license number, you are responsible for that product. If anything goes wrong, you are responsible because you have not taken the right product. It is just like when you buy a mobile without a guarantee. It is similar to that. So if you have this license number mentioned in this, you have the bill of wherever you have purchased. That is very simple. There is an app called in the online, you can go in the Play Store, you can search, or in the web portal, you can see Food Safety Connect. In India, there is a portal called as Food Safety Connect. In that app or in that web portal, you can go and complain directly. With this license number, image of the product, you can take it and you can complain. It is not only about this product, pack product or anything. It is even a restaurant. Even if you go for a restaurant and if there are things not following in the right way, you can take the images, find the license number, which is mandatory for them to display, take the details, and you can just directly put it. So this is the kind of initiative which the government has taken so that as a citizen, we as a customer, we take the responsibility to take change and they will take action against the respective food business operator. So this is one of the very good initiative which is the FSSAI has taken. So people should be aware. So that is the first thing I wanted to say. Second thing is that the veg symbol, if you can see in the top right corner, there is a symbol. So in all your product, it is mandatory that there should be a symbol regarding veg and non-veg. So tell me in which color the veg is there and which color the non-veg is there? Anyone, please unmute and talk. Veg and non-veg symbol is in which color? How do they represent?
Red for non-veg and green for veg.
Very good. So basically it looks like red, but in actual it is brown color. When it prints and come, it looks like red. So red or brown, it is correct. Now in recent labeling law, which you'll be soon seeing in the market, that the design will change. Right now, the veg you see, there is a circle inside in a green color that will remain the same. But for non-veg, instead of a circle red, it will be a triangle red. Instead of circle red, it will be triangle red. The reason why this change has come is that the people who are suffering from color blindness and who are literate, they're not able to identify the difference between both of them. So for that reason, the circle and the triangle has become an identification. So wherever there is a triangle red, it means it's a non-veg. So this law is soon it has already been amended. Just the market needs to change because the packing and everything is already printed. It will take some time to change. So this is one thing which is newly done. The next thing which you have to check is the list of ingredients. As in this product, you can see sugar, palm, jaggery, everything is written. In this ingredients, apart from this raw material, what are the other details do you find? Have anyone checked this ingredients detail? In that, what do you see? Apart from this kind of raw materials, what are the other details they mention in ingredients? Anyone can unmute and say. You see just the raw material or any other number or any kind of chemical name, anything. Have you ever seen it?
Yes, sir.
So what do you see it? How it is mentioned? Any guess? Let it be wrong, it's okay. It's not your college. Just express whatever you feel.
I didn't remember it correctly, sir, but I think they have mentioned any chemical name in there.
Yes, so basically they mention some kind of numbers. There are two types of numbers. One is E number and another is INS number. Okay, International Numbering System, and another is E number. Both this number represent the additives which are added into it. Both represents the additives which are added in the food. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by additives? Anyone, what do you mean by additives? What do you understand by additives? ADDITIVES, additives.
Any artificial thing?
Very good. Apart from the natural ingredient, any artificial chemical ingredient which is added in a food for any specific reason is called as additive. For a very simple example, if I want to say, in home you make this kesari and other things. In the kesari, to get a good color, there is a color added. So the purpose of that color is to improve the texture, improve how it looks. So that color is one of the additives. You have heard about preservatives. You have learned about preservatives. Like the preservative ensures that it remains, the shelf life of the product remains good for a longer period of time. So any artificial chemical which is added in a food product for any specific reason is called as additives. So are these additives good for your health or not? The answer for this is that if you consume it in a very little quantity and sometimes you consume it, there is no harm for it. If the same additives, the products which have same additives, if you consume that, then it is a risk for you. So that is the reason you need to read always the ingredients, whether it contains any kind of additives or not. So it will be in the name of INS, say that acidifier, acid regulator, stabilizer, or say that preservative. It can be anything. Whatever it is, it has to be mandatorily mentioned. So that you can read and identify and purchase according to that. Before I go to the next part, I have a small request to each and everyone. Please keep your video on. Please keep your video on. When we see the students and then we talk, it becomes very easy for us. Otherwise, it's like we are talking to ourselves only. So I request, please keep the videos on, all the students.
Vivek sir,
Yeah.
we shall also check with the students whether they are comfortable with the English or will mix up with the both Tamil and English.
Yes, please tell me. Students, please tell me if you're comfortable with Tamil, I'll continue Tamil, or I can take in both the languages. Anything is okay. சொல்லுங்க எந்த லாங்குவேஜ்ல எடுக்கணும். யாருக்காச்சும் ஹிந்தில ஏதாச்சும் டவுட் கேட்கணும்னா ஹிந்தில கூட கேளுங்க, அது ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லை. பட் எதுனாலும் பேசுங்க. ப்ளீஸ் ஷேர், ப்ளீஸ் எக்ஸ்பிரஸ். So what is the language you all are comfortable with?
So English is comfortable for all.
English is comfortable for all?
For everyone.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Shrutika. I request everyone, please turn on your videos. Please turn on your videos.
Sir, I don't have a webcam with my PC.
Okay, fine. Others who has webcam, please keep it on. I don't see anyone keeping the video on. See, this is a government training program, so that is the reason we need to keep the video on. We have to submit this proof to the government also. So that is the reason. Okay, I see many people who have turned it on now. Very good. Thank you very much. I'll appreciate if everyone else also on it. Thank you. So I'll just continue again. So when I was talking about this color and additives and everything, so in this food product, apart from the ingredients, the next important thing as a college students and school students, what we need to understand is the nutritional profile. We all see the nutritional profile. So in that nutritional profile, what do you need to check and what do you need to understand? Anyone? In the nutritional profile, what do you need to see and what do you need to understand? Any guess? Or we don't check at all?
Fats, carbohydrates.
Very good. Very good. Fat, carbohydrates. Any other answer?
So sugar level.
Very good. Sugar level. Perfect.
Calorie.
Very good. So you have given most of the important answers. The first thing you have to check is actually what is the total kilocalories it has. The amount of the calorie content which is present in the food. That is what you need to see and understand. From after that kilocalories, you'll be having different things mentioned. What are those? First is the carbohydrates. In carbohydrates, it will be represented in two ways. One is total sugar and one is added sugar. So under carbohydrates, whatever the sugar content is present, it can be total sugar or it can be added sugar. The difference between total sugar and added sugar is some product, for example, you take a fresh juice or anything, that fresh juice will be having a natural sugar present in it. That is total sugar. When someone, for any juice company, if that sugar is not enough, they are adding artificially in that, that is the added sugar. So no matter what sugar is present, total sugar, added sugar should be represented separately. This is the first thing. So carbohydrates, under carbohydrates, you have total sugar and added sugar. After that, you have your total protein. Then you have your total fat. So when initially the previous law said that you just need to write the fat content. But now the law says that under the fat, you need to have three subdivisions. What are they? First is PUFA, P-U-F-A. That is polyunsaturated fatty acids. You have to mention PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acids. If you can see this label, previously they used to write only this. They used to write only total fat. But now it has changed and they have said that we have to write polyunsaturated fatty acid, then monounsaturated fatty acid. That is called as MUFA, M-U-F-A, monounsaturated fatty acid. Third is trans fat. So these three things together contribute your total fat. Next rule is we have to mention the dietary fiber. So whatever dietary fiber is present in the food, that dietary fiber should be mentioned. Next is your cholesterol. Whatever cholesterol is present, that quantity should be mentioned. And the last is your sodium. Any gram of sodium is present, that sodium should be mentioned in it. Now, in this, we need to understand from this nutrition information, you have to understand three things. Whether the product which you are buying is a high fat food or it is a high sugar food or it is a high salt food. You need to learn from this nutrition information whether the food has high fat or high salt or high sugar. So how do you identify whether it is high fat? Very simple, as I told you. You need to see that total cholesterol and everything. So all the three components, your PUFA, MOFA and trans fat, if this three together contributes more than 10% of your total kilocalories. I repeat, if all the three fat content contributes more than 10% of your total kilocalories, it means that is a high fat food. That means it is a high fat food. Another condition in this that if the trans fat alone, if the trans fat alone is 3% more, for example, more than 3% than your total calories, if it contributes more than 3% of the total calories, then that is also a high fat food. So if the fat content is high, the label will be mentioned as HF with a circular, that high fat. This law has just revised, so till that you can learn, you can read and then take the product regarding high fat. Similar to that, sugar also, with the carbohydrates, the total sugar content you can read and you can understand whether it is high sugar or not. Then the last is the salt. The salt will be always written in the name of sodium. The salt will be always written in the name of sodium. It can be anything. It can be sodium carbonate, it can be sodium bicarbonate, it can be monosodium glutamate, it can be anything. So anything related to sodium, if it is present, it will be mentioned on this nutrition profile. So you have to check it and you have to buy it accordingly. So when we started this session about eat right, so the eat right whole thing is about this three things. Consume food which has less fat, less sugar, and less salt. These three things, when you take it in less consumption, you will go for a healthier lifestyle. The concept behind the eat right is that live a healthy lifestyle. More when we talk about this eat right, more of the students and more of the people are worried about the communicable disease. Like because of the non-hygienic practice or the unsafe water or any kind of dirt or any cleaning related issues. Yes, that is an issue. That is a communicable disease. That issue is a very small part. That is just a 40% of your problem. But the actual 60% is the non-communicable disease, which is equivalent to a slow poison. Nowadays, we all are exposed to the packed product in a greater quantity. The processed food consumption in our day-to-day life has increased a lot. So when we are consuming it in a greater quantity, we need to educate ourselves to understand how to read the label and buy the product. So this is why we are specifying this very detailed. So you have to understand this. Okay. So as I told, the rule is very simple: low fat, low sugar, and low salt. Okay. So when I talk about salt, I have a simple question. Average consumption of one person's day-to-day life salt quantity, what it is? In a day, how much salt quantity do we consume? Any guess? In a day, what is the quantity of salt we consume in a day?
70%, sir.
Sorry?
70%, sir.
70% okay, but just tell me the gram. In grams, in a day, how much salt are we consuming? ஒரு நாள்ல எவ்வளவு கிராம் salt நம்மளோட சாப்பாடுல இருக்கு, நம்மளோட உணவுல இருக்கு?
தெரியல sir.
Anyone else apart from Bhagyalini? Anyone else guess?
Sir.
யாராச்சும் சமைச்சிருக்கீங்களா? கிச்சன்ல சமைக்கிறீங்களா? Anyone who cooks can take any guess. Any boys who cook can take a guess.
2.4 gram.
Very good. 2.4 gram is the perfect answer. Whoever has said it, that's a perfect answer. That answer is as per WHO. WHO has said that in a day we should take 2.5 gram of salt for a healthier life. That WHO standard is not applicable for our country because of the geographical and climatic condition. 2.5 is very difficult for us. It will make us sick. But Indian standards has said that Indian scientists have said that from 3.5 gram to 4.5 if you consume, it is a healthy limit. 3.5 to 4.5 gram in a day if you consume, it is a healthy limit. Now, can anyone guess how much in actual are we consuming? .5 is the standard what we should consume, 3.5 to 4.5. But actually, guess irka? Kandipa jasti da. Approximately guess, anyone? Okay, I'll tell you, approximately we are taking 14 to 15 gram in a day. We are supposed to take 3.5 to 4.5, but we are taking approximately 14 grams, 13 to 15 grams in a day. So when I talk about the sugar, when I talk about the salt, it's not only the salt which we use at the cooking. It is also the packed product which you are consuming. If you buy any chips packet, if you buy any biscuit, if you buy any kind of processed food, everything has salt in it. The salt is either added for taste or the salt is added as a preservative. So all those, the salt which we use in food for cooking, it is very less quantity because that is for taste only. But in your packed product, the amount of salt is present is more because that is used as a preservative. So that content you need to start reading when you take it so that you are cautious. That is the whole thing. Okay, understood? Fine. The next thing is that in the label again, we need to see the manufacturing date and the best before date. So manufacturing date, everyone knows that, everyone has a clear idea. So I don't want to go in depth. But there are something else called as best before and use by date. Many, when I asked the first question, what do you check in label? Everyone said expiry date. You can go and see any product in your kitchen. You won't find expiry date in it. Expiry date is only for medicines and cosmetic product. Initially, we used to get, few years before, we used to get expiry date in our product. So even still, someone who are following the wrong label law, they are putting expiry, but expiry date has been stopped. You use only two terms for food, that is best before date and use by date. Can anyone tell me in which products you see use by date and in which product you see best before date? Anyone?
Milk products for use.
Very good, very good. Milk product, anything else?
Sir, bread packets used by.
Fantastic, perfect. Anything else? You see this ready to eat chapati, you see this ready to parota, then you see paneer, you see many of this fast food items like ready to cook, immediately cook it and use it, or any kind of bakery products. So all the products which has a shelf life less than 20 days, I repeat, all the food products which has shelf life less than 20 days will be having the term use by date. Any product which has more than 20 days will have best before date. Okay. Now, what is the difference? What is the meaning difference? Use by date and best before date. Any guess?
Use by day is for less days. For
Correct.
example, 3 days or 4 days. Like
Correct. That is less than 20 days, which I have told. But what is the meaning, exact meaning of it? Why do you need separate thing, best before and use by? There is some difference in the meaning. What is that? Okay, I'll give you an example. Now you say that key bread packet you're taking. Okay. So bread packet on the day one when you purchase it, the texture, the taste, and the quality and the safety of the food is 100%. Correct? It is soft. It has a good aroma. and the taste and the quality, the microbial part, everything is safe. But second day when you go, there is some change in the texture. It becomes little hard. The aroma will reduce little bit. The taste may change or may not change, but it is safe for consumption. Third day, it will become even more hard. The taste will reduce, the aroma will be lost completely. Fourth day, everything is gone. It has become like a biscuit. It has become very hard, but it is still safe. There is no fungal growth. Next day, there will be fungal growth on it. So the day it has a fungal growth, or the day the fungal growth starts, that is the day called as use by date. So after this use by date, the product is unsafe for consumption. If you consume it, you are going to fall sick. When it comes to best before date, the meaning is that I am assuring the quality till that date. If I say best before 3 months, till the third month, till the 90th day, whatever quality I have given on the first day, it will remain the same till 90th day. I'm sorry. So that is the meaning of the best before date. After best before, it can spoil today or it can spoil tomorrow. We don't know. It can spoil any day. But I take the responsibility till this date. So as a consumer, we have to ensure any product we take, it has to be consumed before best before date. I'm sorry. Any product, we have to take it before best before date or before use by date. We have to consume it, we have to finish it. So this is a basic difference, and there is no expiry date. Always remember, there is no expiry date. Expiry date you can find only and only in your medicines or the cosmetic products. So this is the first thing. So apart from this, you'll be finding the manufacturing details, the manufacturing company address and other things. But this was the most important thing which I had to tell. Now, there are many products in the market, which is like coconut oil. You get the coconut oil with FSSAI. But we don't know whether that coconut oil we can use for consumption or not. There are many people, there are coconut oil in the market. The coconut oil which the Keralites use are different, but for cooking what they use is different. And the parachute hair oil, coconut oil which we get is different. So as a basic common layman, how do you identify that? So every label will be having a square in it. Inside there will be a cross. If any product which has come from a food origin, and it is not for consumption, like your coconut hair oil, it will be having a box in it with a cross inside it. That means that it is not for consumption. So this way you can identify it. So these are the very simple things, very important things which you have to check in a label before you buy it. Clear? Any doubt, student, about the labeling?
No,
No, sir.
Very good. So the next topic which we are going, it is about the color, the food colors. So that this is something that everyone loves it. So now I want to understand, is this color good for your health or not? Can this color be used in food or not? The food colors which are used for different type of food products like your kebab, your Chinese food, or your bakery and other things, or in your sweets, kesari, Indian laddus and everything. Can this color be used or it cannot be?
It can be used, sir, but we should not consume it.
The limit, sir. It can be used with a limit.
Okay. It can be used, but it shouldn't be consumed, or it can be taken in a less quantity. Okay, fine. So, yeah, just a simple, in biryani, can we use color or not? Even at a less quantity.
We should not use it, sir.
Okay. In kesari, can we use color or not?
We want to use color, sir. For cake.
Sorry?
We
No,
want
sir.
use
No.
color.
Okay. Okay. First thing we'll understand. The color, there are two types of color. One is natural color and second is artificial color. The yellow color which you get from turmeric powder, the red color which you take from Kashmiri chili, from palak, from your spinach you get the green color, and from beetroot you get the red color. So the natural color, there is no kind of restrictions. All your natural colors you can use at any quantity. There is no kind of restriction in it. The restriction which is there in the market, it is for your artificial chemical colors. So this artificial chemical colors, how is it made? So it has a dye, basically the color pigment which is called as dye. It has a dye which is called as azo dye. Okay, it has a color pigment which is called as azo dye. What do you, in science, what do you mean by a? When you split azo, what do you mean by a and what do you mean by zo? If any biology student, any science student. A means no and Z or zo means life. No life means death. The word azo means non-living thing. It is basically death. So now how this azo dye is made? So in crude oil, what do we get from crude oil? What do we extract from crude oil? After filtration of crude oil, what do we get? Any girls, any boys? Answer.
Kacha ennai.
Kacha ennai is the last thing. First, what is the first thing? Petrol. After petrol, after the filtration, you get diesel. After diesel, you get your kerosene. After kerosene, what you get is bitumen. That is a bitumen which is used to put it in the road, tar dambar. Further to the tar dambar, when you filter it, the last thing what is left is azo dye. So the azo dye which is used for your color is basically the final extract which is left over from the tar dambar. The road, the bitumen which is used to put in the road tar dambar. When you consume this azo dye based color, when you consume this artificial color, it takes 45 days to digest out of your body. When you consume this color, it takes 45 days to digest out of your body. And this color is highly carcinogenic. It is highly carcinogenic. Now, all the vendors, all people, whenever we taught this content, everyone had the one simple question is that if this is so harmful for the body, why it is allowed? Why it is sold in the market? Why it is approved by the FSSAI and it is sold? So this product is allowed. Food colors are permitted today, but it is permitted only for 4 products. First is your Indian sweets. Second, it is for your ice creams. Third, it is for your bakery and confectionery. Fourth is for your concentrated juices, concentrated syrup. Only for these 4 items, you are allowed at a restricted limit. There is a permissible limit which is given, that is 100 ppm. So that 100 ppm is basically parts per million. We say that in 10 kgs, you can use up to 10 gram of color. 10 kg of laddu if you are making, you can use up to 10 gram of color, not more than that. So that is a permissible limit for those products also. But apart from the 4 products which I mentioned, the Indian sweets, your ice cream, your concentrated syrup, and your bakery items, you can't use in any other food items. In your biryani, in your Chinese, in your tandoori chicken, in your chili chicken, or in your kebabs, nothing. Color is not permitted. The reason why, which we have already said. So now, as I said, many people ask us, is it not harmful if it is there in the sweet items or the other item which it is allowed? Yes, it is harmful. But the amount which we consume those food is very less in your day-to-day life. The amount of sweet, amount of ice cream, the amount of concentrated syrups, which very, very less as compared to the normal main food which we take. If government tries to ban it totally artificial color, tomorrow all the bakery people and the sweet manufacturer will come for a strike in our country. Because Indian sweets and bakery can't run without the color. So automatically the products will stop their selling point. So that is the reason there is a timeline given for everyone to move from this artificial colors to natural color. So as a customer, as a citizen, you need to understand this is harmful and you have to stop consuming it. Because what happened is like many of the street food vendors, many of the hotel people had stopped making this color, had stopped using this color. But the third thing, what happened is that the customer who started coming in, they stopped buying, saying that because there is no color, the taste is not there. Color is just a chemical. There is nothing to do with taste. It is just a mental block. We believe that if it is colorful, it is good in taste. So that mentality we have to change. And as a students, you have to spread this across the people and make everyone aware. Because today's school kids of your age or below your age, all are attracted to the roadside food and bakery food, which is more colorful. So those things we have to change. We have to stop it. So that is why I explained about this color in detail. Okay. So anyone has any doubt regarding color? So will you take any kind of color food, any Chinese or chili chicken or any roadside, if you find any colorful product, will you buy it?
We'll stop buying step by step.
Please stop it and please spread this awareness. That is the most important thing.
Sure, sir.
Okay? Okay, fine. So this was about the color. Now another thing is actually about the way of cooking. When in home, we cook. So if you students don't cook, I'll just tell what happens at home. Normally we cook all our food. So any food which is cooked, it has to be completely heated and then it has to be served. So after your cooking, if there is any leftover is there, that leftover has to be kept in a chiller and then it has to be reheated again and it has to be consumed. Say that if the leftover food you have reheated and still it is not used, you can't reheat it again. Any food can be reheated only once. You can't reheat it again and again. The reason why is that once you heat it, the microorganism will die. After again you reheat it, if it is like, say that you have cooked your food and you have kept it in a normal temperature or chiller, the microorganism will start growing till a limit. So within 2 or 3 years, if you consume it, even if the microorganisms are present in the food, it is not harmful. But after 3 years, the microorganism will increase beyond a limit, which is harmful for you. The same thing, when you reheat it, it will die. But if the food is not consumed and you go to reheat it again, the microorganism won't die. It will get used to that temperature and it will remain. And when you consume that food, you will fall sick. So any food, please remember, you can reheat only and only once. Many people have started getting this habit of the microwave. Microwave is accepted. You can do microwave cooking, but before you keep any food in microwave, you have to cook in your traditional cooking method in the stove. Because that cooking will ensure that the temperature is going to the core of your complete product. If anything is left over, you can reheat it. That is definitely you can reheat it in microwave, but don't do the cooking directly. That is not advisable. And always use microwavable utensils only. Whatever which says like a microwave food safe, you get this logo microwave food safe or you get the symbol microwave safe. Only those kind of food product you use. Don't do any kind of research work with any plastic which you're not sure, because once you start heating that, the plastics will go into your food and that is highly carcinogenic. So this is one very important thing. Next thing is that when you keep any kind of food product in the chiller, we have fridge at our home. How do you store your food in the fridge? So I have a small image. You can just see that and you can understand it. Just 1 minute. So before that, I'll just ask a question. the raw chicken or your raw fish, which you just freshly brought it from the market, will you keep it on the top or will you keep it on the bottom?
On the top, sir.
On the top in the freezer. Now you have your vegetables, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and you also have, marinated chicken. So which will you keep on the top and which will you keep on below? You have fruits and vegetables and you have a marinated chicken. So which will go up, which will go down?
Vegetables on the bottom.
Vegetables.
Very good. Now you have a cooked food and you have a semi-cooked food. Which will you keep on the top? You have a cooked food. Say like you have a leftover dal and you have a marinated paneer. So which will you keep on the top?
Semi-cooked food on the top.
Okay.
Semi-cooked food on the top and cooked food on below.
Okay. Just a correction in this. Cooked food will go on the top. Below will be the semi-cooked. Okay. So in this, we have to understand what it is that any food which has more microorganisms will go on the top. Anything which has lesser microorganisms will go on the bottom. So cooked food will have more microorganisms because the water content of your cooked food will start increasing, and that will lead the microorganism more, and that will get easily spoiled because you're not going to cook it completely again. You'll just reheat it. So that is the reason it will be kept on the top. So I'll just show this image. You can take a screenshot of it. Just 1 minute. Okay, I have some problem with the image. I'm not able to find it. So I'll tell you again. So on the bottommost shelf, you'll be having all your fruits and vegetables, raw fruits and vegetables. Above that, you'll be having your, say that any kind of semi-cooked product or any kind of batter you have, or any kind of, say that curd or other things, it will be kept on the second last. Above that, it will be your dairy products. So all your milk, paneer and everything will be in the between rack. Above the rack, it will be all your leftover food, cooked leftover food. On the top, you'll be having your raw chicken, raw mutton, raw fish, or your frozen vegetables, like your frozen peas, you get it. You get your frozen nuggets, you get your frozen French fries. All those things will go on the top. And in the side, those on the top, you'll be having your eggs. Then below, you'll be having all your juices and other things. So this is the correct way. When you do it in this way, you'll be having a maximum shelf life for your product. All products won't spoil it immediately. Any product which you keep it in the chiller, don't keep it more than 3 days. Up to 2 days or 3 days max, it is advisable. Don't keep it for a longer time. Many people keep it for 6 days or 7 days and they reheat and cook it. No, don't keep it more than 2 days. 3 days is the maximum. So this one thing you have to take care. And another habit, we all Indian mothers and fathers have a habit. Anyone who is storing the milk, they always tend to keep the milk in the freezer. So when we ask them, why do you keep it in the freezer? They say that it has a longer shelf life. Is it correct answer or wrong? When you keep your milk in the freezer, will it have a longer shelf life? What do you think? By keeping milk in the freezer, do you think it will have a longer shelf life?
Yes, sir.
I think so, yes.
Okay. So whenever you read the packet, it says that used by so many days if you keep it at 0 to 4 degrees Celsius. So you keep it at 0 to 4 degrees Celsius or you keep it at minus 18, it will get spoiled on that day no matter what. That is what I said about use by date in the beginning. You keep it in the freezer or you keep it in the normal condition. It will definitely get spoiled on the date which is mentioned. Keeping it in the freezer is a wrong habit. The reason one is that people believe that it has a longer shelf life. If it is written that 20 March is the use by, they can use up to 22nd. No, it will get spoiled even if it is in the freezer. That is reason number one. Second reason is that when you keep it in the freezer and when you get it back to the normal temperature, the fat present in the milk will get frozen. And when it comes back to the normal temperature, the fat starts breaking. So when the fat structure starts breaking, the nutritious value which you get from your milk, you're losing it over there. You will have a safe milk if it is used within use by date, if it is kept in freezer and made normal temperature, but you're losing all the essential nutrition value from that milk. Milk is the most nutritious food that we Indians are lucky that we are getting it in a day-to-day life. So that nutrition, we are just breaking it by keeping it in the freezer and keeping in the normal temperature. So please correct this habit at the home level at everyone. Never keep your milk in the freezer. Always keep it in the chiller, and whatever shelf life is mentioned, that will be the only shelf life which you can get it. Okay?
Okay,
Fine.
sir.
Now, next thing is that we all are reading this Ajinomoto. Everyone has a doubt about this monosodium glutamate that is called as Ajinomoto. So everyone asks this question, can we consume this Ajinomoto food? Yes or no? So now there is something understanding in this Ajinomoto. Ajinomoto is as of now allowed to be used in food. It is not banned. But consuming Ajinomoto based food regularly, it has a health effect on each and every individual. So we all believe that Ajinomoto is consumed only in Chinese food item. No. So all your ready to eat products, ready to cook, like your Maggi or any nuggets or anything, which is like immediate cooking way. So for that, the flavor, to get that flavor, Ajinomoto is added into it. It is in the name of MSG. So when government allows this Ajinomoto, government says that if it is within this limit, that is 0.0001%, if you add it, it is allowed. And they will add within the limit only. But if you are consuming the Ajinomoto based food at a larger quantity, say that you are eating a chips packet in the morning, you're eating a cornflakes in the morning, you are eating a jam, afternoon you are eating some ready to eat food, evening you are having a ready to eat samosa, night you are having a ready to eat paratha. If all those things have the same Ajinomoto in it, then there is no meaning of the percentage. So unknowingly, you are consuming this monosodium glutamate at a larger quantity. So for that reason, you need to understand what your raw material contains. So Ajinomoto is not only produced in Chinese, it's not only used in Chinese, it is used in all your raw materials also, that you need to check in the label and identify and understand whether you're consuming in the right way or not. So what are the health effects of Ajinomoto food? So any kids who are below 10 years of age, the possibility is that the bone developing capacity, the bone strengthening capacity which the individuals have at that age, it is reduced drastically up to 60%. And for the old age people at the 50s or 60s, normally they get the joint pain and everything, they'll get it in the earlier 30s or 40s itself. And for pregnant women, if they had a habit of having this Ajinomoto food on a day-to-day basis regularly, there is a possibility that they can have a miscarriage of the baby. It is that risky. It is very, very risky. Consuming Ajinomoto food, sometime it is okay. There is no problem. But regularly, it is definitely a problem. So that we need to understand and we have to choose our product accordingly. Today's biggest fear, the biggest war, unseen war, what we are facing is the wrong food habits. Because of the wrong food habits, our generation the current, not before our parents or our grandparents' generation, our generation have started getting diseases, different type of diseases at the age of 48. So unknowingly, the lifespan of the people which were 90 to 80 has come down to 60 to 70. So that is like a war. So we need to spend rightly on the food habits, what we are doing. We have to understand and we have to buy. More you go towards your fresh foods, the more healthier life you live. So you need to see and buy your products. I have repeated this again and again. Also go for your fresh fruits and vegetables. Take the intake of fresh fruits and vegetables more. Today you may find it is very good, the junk food and everything. But at the age of 30s and 40s, you'll feel the difficulty. There are so many people who are obese and they have getting all the diseases at the early 30s. I had seen people at the age of 28, they have got their first heart attack. This was all because of the wrong food habit and the wrong living style. So as a students, please keep yourself engaged in the physical activities, play games, any kind of physical games, go out, have any sports, have any hobby, at least 1 hour of physical games you should keep. And eat the right food. This is the most important thing. As a part of this Eat Right, as Mr. Dennis had started in the beginning, we are doing this Eat Right Chennai. This program is within the Eat Right Chennai. So Eat Right Chennai is a program which has been initiated by the Food Safety Department throughout the food industry of Chennai district. Under this program, there are different initiatives. Some initiatives I would like to say, which you have to see when you go out. I have told what all things you have to do at home level, but when you go out, what are the things we have to see, which has been started. So for hotels and restaurants across the district, there is something called as hygiene rating. So any hotels or restaurant who has got certified, they will be getting a FSSAI hygiene rating certificate. So FSSAI have made a very easy checklist or a law kind of thing, which they can go to the outlet, they can see, it will be displayed in the entrance, and you can identify whether it is safe or not. Today, if you kids go to any hotel or restaurant, how do you identify whether the hotel is good or not? By Zomato rating, Swiggy rating, and other things. The rating is the only thing which we check. But that rating is given completely on the basis of the guest feedback. If you like a food, you get a 5-star rating. If you don't like the food, you give a 4-star rating. But does that mean that that food is unsafe, that restaurant unsafe? No. Regarding hygienic practices, there is no evident rating which is displayed or which we know that we have to go and check. So to change that, the government has started this rating system, which you can see in all the restaurants. We have selected 1,000 restaurants and hotels across the city which are going for this. As of now, 600 restaurants and hotels have completed this. Soon, within this month or next month, we'll be completing the 1,000 restaurants target. So this is one very important update. I'm just sharing the certificate, how it looks. Just 1 minute. So if you can see this, this is how the certificate looks. Okay, so when you go to any hotels or restaurant, choose the hotel which has got this certificate. Only when as a customer you start choosing, then only people will understand the importance of this and the food business operators will choose this. So that is why this is very, very important. Another initiative what the government has taken is in temples, wherever the bulk food is prepared, wherever the Annadanam is served, wherever the prasadam is prepared, they will be getting one certificate which is called as Bhog certificate, blissful hygienic offering at God's own place. So all this Annadanam is audited, all this prasadam counters and the preparation areas are audited. They are changed to ensure the food is prepared in the safe way. Next is the Eat Right Campus. Eat Right Campus means that wherever bulk food is prepared and consumed, like your college hostels, like your malls, like the theaters, or you have this big manufacturing industries where 6,000 to 7,000 people eat. Any one campus under which there are many different type of people consume at the same time, they have this Eat Right campus. In this Eat Right campus, it is the campus teaches people what are the nutrition food, what are the healthy food, what are the importance of exercise, how they do yoga, why they should do yoga, gym activity, everything. That is encouraged. So that the campus is promoting a healthy lifestyle for their future. So this is one of the another initiative. So this all is taken for you, for your future, so that we have a healthier lifestyle and we have a safe food and we consume the right food in the future. Now we will be starting with adulteration demo. So there will be some kind of adulteration experiments which I will be showing you now, which you can check it at the home level itself. At home itself, you can check whether your food is adulterated or not. So before I go for the adulteration demo, I want to understand, what do you know about adulteration? Whatever you know, someone please unmute and say. What do you understand by adulteration? What do you know about it?
Yeah, Sanjay.
Sanjay, Shrutika, Hari, anyone can say.
Foods which can be consumed only by adults.
No, that's a wrong answer. Anything else? I'm asking adulterated. Students, anyone else? What do you mean by adulterated? What do you know? Anything? Please tell.
Kalapadam.
கலப்படம், வெரி குட். கலப்படத்தோட அர்த்தம் என்னம்மா? எந்த உணவை கலப்படம்னு சொல்லுவாங்க? Adulteration in Tamil is called as kalapadam. In Hindi we call as milavat.
Food with poor quality.
Poor quality. Okay. Any other thing? Any other answers?
Adding chemicals, unwanted chemicals.
Okay, almost right. Almost you're right. Yes, Sharmila, Soumya, anyone wants to say any answer? Okay, I'll give an example. Now say that in milk, someone is adding water. Is it called as adulteration?
Yes, sir.
In the same milk, if someone is adding urea to it so that it doesn't get spoiled, is it called as adulteration?
Definitely yes.
So any food item in which you're adding some substance or subtracting some substance to increase or decrease a specific quality is called as adulteration. Like example, you have a turmeric powder. With the turmeric powder, you are putting a bad quality of turmeric powder or a flour. That is adulteration. You have a black pepper. In the black pepper, you are putting some kind of papaya seeds. That is adulterated. You have a red chili powder, and to sell it in a good, better way, you are adding color to it. That is adulteration. So adulteration can be risky. It can be unsafe for your health, or it may not be unsafe. Like adding water to the milk, it's not unsafe, but it is definitely adulterated. So any food in which something is added or something is subtracted to enhance a specific property is called as adulteration. Okay. So I have my colleague Divya. Divya, have you joined?
Yes, Praveen. Yes, Vivek, I'm here.
Yes. So students, Divya will be showing you a demonstration of few experiments. So everyone please see that. So once she completes, I will be explaining about this and then about some more adulteration also. So please everyone look into it. Divya, you can please start.
Thank you, Vivek. If you can able to please.
What is the device name?
Praveen.
Okay, done. I'm just putting you on.
Thank you so much, Vivek.
Yes.
Thank you. Team, now I'm going to do the adulteration techniques on how easily we can find the adulteration when we buy a product. For that, first I have taken some chili powder. So can I ask what are all the adulterants that you find in the chili powder? What all will be added in your chili powder? Anybody? In your chili powder, they will add color to make it bright red, and they will add brick powder. So these are the two common adulterants that is found in your chili powder. How do we find out if the chili powder what we bought has any color or brick powder? For this, I have taken a transparent glass. In a transparent glass, I am going to add some chili powder. After adding the chili powder, I am going to add some water. After adding the water, I am just mixing it well. It's a normal drinking water, what I am using, and I am discarding the water after mixing it well. I'm just discarding the water. After discarding, can you able to see any red color water droplets in the glass? Is there any red color water droplets in the glass?
No, ma'am.
No.
No, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, sir. This indicates that this chili powder is not adulterated with color. The color added in your chili powder is called Sudan red or rhodamine. That is a color name which is usually added in your chili powder, which is very bad for your health. It's called Sudan red or rhodamine. Okay. If there is any red color water droplets that is seen in your glass, that indicates that your chili powder is adulterated with color. Okay, so this chili powder passes the test of color. We'll see whether this chili powder has any brick powder in it. For this, I have taken a transparent glass and I am going to add some water. Okay, now I am just going to sprinkle the chili powder in the water. After sprinkling, is the chili powder settling down fast or is it taking time to come down? It is coming down slowly.
Come down.
Okay, if it has a brick powder, as soon as you put it, immediately comes down, settles down immediately. If it is settling down immediately, that indicates that the chili powder has brick powder in it. If it is taking time to settle down, if it is slowly settling down, that indicates that this chili powder is not adulterated with brick powder. Okay, so this chili powder passes the test on color and on your brick powder. Okay, the next I am going to use turmeric powder. What is turmeric powder is adulterated with? What all will be adulterated with turmeric powder? Turmeric powder is usually adulterated with some white color powder and yellow color. Okay, it can be a maida, it can be a rice flour, it can be a corn flour, starch, any kind of powder. White powder will be mixed with yellow color called tartrazine. Tartrazine is a color that is added in your turmeric. Okay, and they will mix it with the turmeric. How do we find out if there is any turmeric white powder added in your turmeric? For that, I have taken a transparent glass and I am going to add some turmeric powder to it. Okay, after adding the turmeric powder, I am going to add some water. Okay, after adding it, I am going to mix it well. After mixing it well, allow the turmeric powder to settle down. Allow the turmeric powder to settle down. After a minute or two, you will see a white color layer settling down in the bottom. That indicates that the turmeric powder is adulterated with some white powder. Okay, we'll just hold for a minute. By the time it settles down, I'll give you another simple method to find out your adulteration in turmeric. Just boil the water. In the hot water, you cut the green chili into two and put it inside the water. Add a pinch of salt and add a pinch of turmeric. The color of the water will become red if it is original. It will not turn to red if it is adulterated. Okay, now we'll see. Can you able to see the layer settles down in the bottom? White color layer settles down in the bottom. Yes, no, maybe.
No, ma'am.
No, you are not.
No, ma'am.
It is visible. It is.
You can see a thin layer. You can see a layer over there in the bottom. The water is differentiated and there is a powdered layer below.
So white color layer is visible over here, a very thin layer.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, because I have used only half a spoon. In that half a spoon, there is this much layer that you can able to see in the turmeric. That indicates this turmeric has some white powder added in it. Okay, if you add more, you might able to see a very thick layer. Okay, so this is for turmeric. The next is your pepper. What is whole pepper adulterated with? What is whole pepper adulterated with? Sorry, sir? Whole pepper is adulterated usually with your papaya seeds. So how do we find out if our pepper is adulterated or not? For this, you will have to take some water in a glass and add pepper to it. So the one which are floating are called substandard pepper. Can you able to see how much it is floating? Okay, so the floating one are called substandard pepper. The one with the bottom are called good quality pepper. Pepper floats because of three reasons. If it is adulterated with papaya seeds, it will float because papaya seeds have no weight in it, so it will float. The second thing, if the pepper is not dried properly or if it is not matured enough, it will float. Third important thing is the pepper oil will be removed from the pepper. So when the pepper oil is removed from the pepper, there is no weight in the pepper, it will float in the water. Okay, so this is a classic example for substandard product. Okay, this is called substandard product. This is the original pepper. Okay, the next I'm going to show you on your cumin seeds. Your cumin seeds, jeera. How do we find out? Just take a pinch of jeera and put it in your hand and crush it and rub it vigorously with the other hand. Rub it vigorously and discard it. After discarding, your hands should not become black. If it becomes black, it indicates that the cumin seeds are inferior quality cumin seeds. Is my hand becomes black? Is there any black deposition that you can see in the hand?
No, ma'am.
No. That indicates that the cumin seeds are good quality cumin seeds. Next, I'm going to show you on milk. What is milk adulterated with? Milk? Water. Yes, correct. One is water. So how do we find out whether milk is adulterated with water?
Milk powder.
Make it into curd. When you are making the milk into curd, in the curd, if there is water floating, that indicates that milk has so much water in it. Okay, milk powder will not be added, Mr. Sanjay sir. Milk powder is so costly when comparative to milk, right? So if we are going to add milk powder in milk, it's going to be expensive for them. So they will not add milk powder. Instead, they will add some starch powder to it. It can be a corn flour, it can be arrowroot powder, or it can be any kind of starch that will be added in the milk to make your milk thick. How do we find out? You will have to use iodine solution for this. So I am in a lab, so I'm using an iodine solution. What you can do is you can use tincture. Hope you all know what is tincture is. Tincture is a solution which is used to clean the open wound. Okay, so when you have an open wound, when you go to the doctor uses a red color solution to clean the wound. No? That is called tincture. Okay, it's called tincture iodine. You can get this tincture iodine in all the medical shops, and it's only 20-25 rupees. You get a smaller one. Okay, since I am in a laboratory, I'm using a iodine solution. Now, I'm going to add this tincture to both the milk. I have 2 samples of milk with me, and I'm going to add this tincture in both the milk. I'm just adding 2 to 3 drops. Is there any color change?
No, ma'am.
No. So I'm going to use the second sample. We'll see if there is any color change in it. Yes? Yes? Sorry?
Can you show the bottle? Can you show the glass again? Can you just lift it?
Yeah, Vivek, I'm just shaking it so that the color will be visible.
Yeah.
I hope you can able to see this now. The color changes. Right? It changes.
Everyone can see a light blue color to it. When you compare it, you can see a light blue shade to it. If you see from this one, that's a light blue shade. That light blue shade means that it has starch present in it.
Okay, this is the original milk, but the color doesn't change. And this is adulterated, where the color changes to a light blue color. Okay, so this indicates that this milk is adulterated. The same technique, you can also do it in the paneer. Or any powder, when you are adding the tincture and if it turns to blue color, that indicates the presence of starch in it. Okay, thank you, team. This is what I wanted to show you. Vivek, over to you.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so you have seen now about the adulteration part, as Divya had explained the different adulteration things which are there in the market. So now there is some participant's voice which I can hear. Just a minute. Okay. So this adulteration has now become the biggest challenge for us, because now many food, as you just seen for your turmeric powder, your chili powder, your milk, your pepper, if you go to your kitchen and just understand when your parent or anyone is cooking, that these are the most common food which are used in everyday life. Everyday cooking from morning to evening, these are the food items which are 100% used for some purpose. If this food items itself are adulterated with any kind of chemicals, so that is very, very risky for our day-to-day life health issues. So all these experiments were demonstrated for a very simple reason, that you can identify at your home itself that whether they are adulterated or not, and you can choose the right product. Many people at our home or outside, we try to choose a cheap product. Whatever is cost effective, whatever is very less costly, we take those products. But those products in actual are more costlier for you than the normal thing. As you saw the pepper, if it was half down or half up, when you use that pepper 1 spoon, if it is a good quality, the same pepper of a bad quality, you use 3 spoons. So the cost actually you didn't save, you're just spending more. So better you spend more on a good quality raw material and use it in a good quantity so that you get a good quality and a safe food. So now, apart from these experiments, there have been many people who have asked us, Zaki, in vegetables, there are a lot of color we see in the market. So how to identify in the market itself whether that vegetables has any kind of color or not, fruits or vegetables? Very simple. Everyone use perfume or deodorant, or girls will be using this nail polish remover. So you can take that, just spray it on the vegetables wherever you have a doubt that it may have color, and then wipe it with a white tissue paper. If that product contains color in it, that color will definitely leave out on the tissue paper, because your perfume, your deodorant and everything is just an alcohol. So that alcohol, when it goes to the color, it definitely leaves out. Just like your nail polish remover, it's just an ethanol. So that ethanol, when you put it on your nail polish, it definitely leaves out. So that is a simple experiment, what you need to do it, and you can identify whether your food has color or not. So these are the simple techniques which as a students, as a part of your home, you can do it, you can identify it. and choose the right product before you buy it. Okay. So today we have come to the end of the session. So we have learned about what is adulteration. We have learned how to choose the right product. You have learned what is the harmful things about the color. You need to know what is the high salt, high fat, and high sugar-based food. And the last important thing I want to share you about, there is something called as fortified food in the market. There is something in the market called as fortified food. That fortified food, you can see it having a symbol on the product. I'll just show you that symbol of what it is. Just 1 minute. So in India, before I open this logo, in India, there are many people who are dying because of malnutrition, or many kids and many youngsters today are facing this health deficiency, the micronutrients deficiency, vitamin deficiency. So this deficiency is just because available in your raw food, in your raw material, or in the vegetables. The intake of your nutrients is very, very less in your day-to-day life food consumption. Malnutrition death is reduced or controlled, and the deficiency that people are facing is controlled. So FSSAI has taken an initiative that in 5 staple food, which is most commonly used throughout the country, will have a F plus logo in it. So if it has the F plus logo, it means that there are micronutrients added to it, whichever it is required. For example, it will be having a F plus symbol in your sunflower oil or fortune oil or Agmark, your SGS oil. If there is a F plus in that oil packet, it means that vitamin D, which is required for our body in a day-to-day life, is added in it, or it is up to the required level. Either it is added or it has up to the required level naturally, which is necessary for our body. It means that it has F plus logo. Similar ka jo atta hota hai, so that will have this F plus. If that has F plus, it means that iron, folic acid, and vitamin B12 are within the limit. If it is not within the required limit, then it is added so that it is there for necessary intake. So this F plus symbol is available for 5 staple food. So the 5 staple food are oil, atta, milk, rice, and salt. I repeat, it is for oil, milk, atta, salt, and the last one was I repeat, milk, oil, flour,
Atta.
Then was your salt. Then the last one is because this 5 items throughout the country is consumed day to day, every day for some way or the other. Everyday staple food with the required level. Then we ensure that our body gets the required micronutrients, so we won't face any kind of deficiency. That is the whole purpose this F plus has been initiated. I'm just screen sharing it. You can see the logo. Just 1 minute, it is just coming. So everyone can see this logo?
Okay.
So you need to check before you buy. So in Tamil Nadu, as of now, you can find this in your Ashirvad Atta. You can find this in your Fortune oil, sunflower oil, SVS just oil. In Tata Salt and some other companies of salt, you can find it. The salt, it will have double plus. that is for the iron content and the vitamin content. Then you can find it in your milk also. In the Tetra Pak milk packets, you can find this F plus symbol. So these all products are readily available. So when you choose this 5 staple food, please ensure you choose which has F plus. As a youngster, we need to ensure the important micronutrients available. We have the intake at the right quantity. Okay. So this was all about the eat right, which as a student, as a part of the society, we need to learn. I hope you have understood the necessity of it and how to do it. If you have any queries, you can ask the questions. So we'll have 5 minutes time. So any questions if you have, you can please ask. Please don't feel shy. Any questions, you're open to ask.
Say, I request all the participants, please come with your own queries and clarification. It's a great opportunity to meet Mr. Vivek. He's a subject expert of food safety.
If anyone is not comfortable with the language, you can ask me in Hindi or you can ask me in Tamil, any language, whichever you're comfortable, you can ask. Or even if you further feel shy, you can put it in the chat box. Anything is okay. But please get your queries clear.
Akash, any doubts?
No, sir.
Akash, Priyadarshini, Rachel, Monisha, anyone, any doubts, you can please ask.
Manju ma'am?
No doubt, sir.
No doubt, sir.
No doubt.
Okay, fine. Anyone, if you want to give any feedback about the session, they are open to share it. Whatever they feel about the session, you're open to share it.
Participants, please share your feedback, what you learned, what you experienced about it.
Good experience.
Tamil கூட நீங்க பேசலாம். You are feel free to talk. சார் நிறைய டாபிக்ஸ் உங்களுக்கு சொல்லி கொடுத்திருக்காரு இன்னைக்கு. லேபிளிங் பத்தி சொல்லிருக்காரு, கலர், சத்தமா பேசுங்க.
இப்ப கேக்குதா?
Yes, we are hearing ma. சொல்லுங்க.
இது வந்து டே டு டே லைஃப்ல நம்ம பண்ற மிஸ்டேக்ஸ் எல்லாமே வந்து இப்போ நல்லா கிளாரிஃபை ஆயிடுச்சு. இதுக்கப்புறம் நம்ம எப்படி சூஸ் பண்ணி நம்ம லைஃப்ல நம்ம எவ்வளவு ஹெல்த்தியா ஆக்கிக்கலாம் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கு இது ஒரு பெஸ்ட் ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டியா நான் நினைக்கிறேன்.
Very good. Super ma.
Good, thank you.
Very useful, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
One of you please come forward and say thank you to sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
On behalf of Savera, on behalf of Parikshan, we are expressing our heartfelt gratitude to the school management for the great opportunity given for us to create this awareness program. Thank you so much, participants. Hope you all enjoyed the happy learning.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank you so
sir.
much.
Sir, we enjoyed.
Yeah, please share your feedback. I have shared the mail ID. Thank you, sir. Vivek, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, MS Dennis. Thank you for the opportunity again. Thank you for the school management. Manju ma'am, thank you for your presence. Thank you, students, everyone.
Before leaving, I just want to thank you, Vivek sir, for giving such information to us. Even I was not aware of all these things.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Really, the children who have not attended really missed it. For the second batch, I will tell them that surely they should attend it.
Sure, ma'am. That will be very helpful, ma'am.
Very informative, and I'm sorry. Actually, I took vaccination today. I went off to sleep. My husband woke me up, and I missed little half an hour of it. I think so.
No problem. Next time you can definitely cover it, ma'am. We are happy that you have taken the vaccination. We are very happy for that. That is also a very important thing today.
I'm not going to miss it. And I will tell all the children, really, they should not miss this opportunity.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Savera Group of Hotels, everybody.
Great
for
pleasure,
giving
ma'am. Thank you.
us
Thank you.
opportunity. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Welcome. Also.